When the Centauri Carbon launched, one of the biggest missing features was multicolor printing. And after what feels like forever, Elegoo finally released the upgrade for it. So today we're installing it, testing it, and figuring out whether this actually makes the Centauri Carbon better, or if it just introduces a whole new set of compromises. And after using it, yeah, there are definitely some compromises. The install for this upgrade is pretty involved. This is not just plugging something into the side of the printer and calling it a day. You have to replace the tool head board, change out some parts, replace the extruder assembly. On a plus side, the new filament extruder assembly now has a filament sensor built into it, because with this upgrade, you're removing the old sensor that used to be mounted on the side of the printer. So this is a little more involved than I originally expected, but overall, the included instructions from Elegoo were actually pretty good. Now, I wouldn't say that the install was difficult, but it is definitely something where you want to take your time. This is one of those upgrades that where if you rush it, you could very easily cause yourself more problems. And unfortunately, this kind of happened to me. My first round of testing did not go very well. I kept getting constant layer shifts, and it seemed to happen every time there was a color change. But after spending way too much time troubleshooting, I eventually figured out what was actually happening. A magnet from the tool head had come loose and attached itself to the metal linear rod, which is a very, very weird problem to have. But because of where it landed, it was basically causing an offset in the XY movement. So when the printer would home, the tool head would kind of crash into the side. And that explains why my first layer was always shifted off center. It also explains why my prints were failing in such a consistent but confusing way. So once I got that whole issue figured out, I was finally able to start properly testing the Canvas system. To be clear, this is just an initial impressions video, but I did want to test the basic color changing capability without wasting a ton of filament. The first print I did was of this Voron cube. This one only had a single color change, and honestly, it was nothing special. At this point, I was just really trying to get the whole system to work and to verify that it could change filament without causing any issues. So this was more of a basic functionality test than anything else. Next up, I printed out this sign in PLA. This one had quite a few more color changes, so it was a better test of how the Canvas system would handle multiple swaps in one print. And lastly, I printed this thumbs up sign in Voxel PETG, who also happens to be the sponsor of today's video. Voxel sent over some of their filament and accessories for me to check out. And if you print a lot, you already know how important it is to have filament that's consistent, reliable, and just easy to work with. Whether you're making functional parts, workshop upgrades, prototypes, or printing something because you saw it online and thought, yeah, I need that. Having good material on hand makes a big difference. Voxel offers a variety of filament options for different projects, along with accessories that can help keep your printing setup running smoother. And for me, that's the kind of stuff I like having around the shop, because the less time I spend fighting with my printer, the more time I can actually spend making things. Voxel also offers bulk discounts for orders under 50 rolls. And for 50 rolls or more, you can reach out directly to Voxel and work on even some custom pricing. For anyone looking for affordable USA made filament, Voxel is going to be an excellent choice for that. So if you're looking for filament or accessories for your own 3D printing setup, check out Voxel using the link down in the description below. I actually printed out this little can koozie here using Voxel's PLA filament, and sponsored segment aside, this turned out so flipping good. I can't believe how good this came out using the Elegoo Centauri Carbon with the Canvas system. This looks awesome. I'm very stoked on this. I love the colors, the matte texture of the PLA just looks awesome. But yeah, big thanks for Voxel for sponsoring this part of the video and supporting the channel. Overall, once I got past that toolhead issue, the system did work. It changed colors, it completed the prints, and for basic multicolor printing, it does seem like the Canvas system can do what it's supposed to do. But here's where things get complicated, because I think the biggest question with this upgrade is not just does it work? The bigger question is it worth what you have to give up? And before we get into that, I do want to say something about Elegoo finally releasing this. I'll fully admit, I thought this upgrade might never come out, so I'm glad Elegoo finally followed through, and I do think that the community pushback helped make that happen. here's the biggest compromise. If you install the Canvas system on the original Centauri Carbon, you are going to give up some functionality of your printer. Because once this system's installed, the original glass that goes on top no longer fits. And that's a pretty big deal, because now you can't keep that chamber enclosed the same way you could before. So instead of having an enclosed printer that can hold heat inside its chamber, you're now limited to printing materials like PLA, PETG, and TPU. And for a lot of people, that might be totally fine. If you mostly print PLA and PETG, and you really want cheap multicolor, this might be a trade-off you're willing to make. But if you bought the Centauri Carbon because you wanted an enclosed printer from materials like ABS or ASA, this upgrade changes that. Sure, you gain multicolor printing, but you lose some of the enclosed printer advantages. Now, that's the part that I'm really struggling with. Right now, Elegoo does not offer the top hat as something that you can buy separately. And no, the top hat from the Centauri Carbon 2 does not fit the original Centauri Carbon. I'm willing to bet someone in the community is already working on a printable solution for this. And honestly, I hope that they are, because this feels like something that really needs a better solution. Now, one thing that genuinely surprised me was the price. The Canvas upgrade is only $55. And honestly, that was kind of shocking. Even with the compromise, the pricing is kind of impressive. But cheap does not automatically mean it is the right upgrade for everyone. And that's kind of where I really landed with this. I'm glad Elegoo released the Canvas system. I'm really glad that the Centauri Carbon owners finally have an option for multicolor and multi-material printing. And for 55 bucks, it's just kind of impressive. But for how I use this printer, I kind of regret upgrading it, because I gained multicolor printing, but I lost the simple enclosed setup that made the Centauri Carbon useful to me in the first place. And that's the trade-off. If you print mostly PLA, PETG, or TPU, and you want an inexpensive way to add multicolor printing to your Centauri Carbon, this upgrade could make a lot of sense. But if you bought the Centauri Carbon because you wanted an enclosed Core XY printer for hotter materials, this upgrade comes with some pretty big compromises. And for me personally, I kind of wish Elegoo had gone with something more like an AMS style system instead. You know, something external, something that didn't require removing the top glass, something that just let the printer keep its functionality it already had while adding multicolor on top of it. Because as cool as this upgrade is, it feels less like the Centauri Carbon became a better version of itself, and more like it became a different printer with a different set of compromises. So what do you think? Are you adding the Canvas system to your Centauri Carbon, or are the compromises just too much? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you made it this far, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm hoping to hit 25,000 subscribers by year end, but I need your help. And if you want to see another upgrade that is completely a different problem, you should check out this video right here, where I figured out a solution for hoarding all of my filament. This is Adam from the Rad Dad Print Lab, sweating like crazy. I'll see you next time.